The rain had been falling for hours, turning the streets of Cedar Grove into dark mirrors that reflected the glow of passing headlights. Daniel Walker, a struggling single father, tightened his grip on the handlebars of his old motorcycle as he pulled up to the towering iron gates of a mansion he could never dream of stepping inside. His worn waterproof jacket clung to him, the cold wind slicing through its thin fabric. But he had learned long ago that discomfort wasn't the worst thing life could throw at him. Losing his wife, raising his 8-year-old son alone, and juggling 2 jobs had already toughened him into someone who kept going, even when the world felt impossibly heavy. He blinked away rain and exhaustion as he looked at the glowing nameplate on the gate. Harrington Estate, home of one of the richest families in the city. This delivery alone was worth a full night's earnings. And tonight, he needed every dollar. If you're watching and believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that make the world feel a little softer, make sure you like, comment, share, and subscribe right now. It truly helps us bring more heartwarming stories to you. The gates opened silently, sensing motion, and Daniel drove inside. The driveway curved like a marble ribbon through immaculate gardens, lit by soft golden lights. For a moment, he felt painfully out of place, like a weary traveler wandering into a palace. The mansion rose at the end, like a glowing monument, every window shimmering with warm light. He parked near the side entrance, trying not to look impressed. The security cameras probably saw everything. He didn't want them thinking he was casing the place. With the neatly packed food bag in hand, someone had ordered an expensive seafood dinner. He walked to the huge front doors. Rain dripped from his sleeves onto the polished stone floor as he pressed the doorbell. He expected a butler or house staff member to collect the order, maybe with a polite nod or a silent tip. Instead, the door opened by itself, sliding inward with the soft hum of hidden automation. The warm interior light washed over him. He hesitated, unsure if he should step inside, but the rich voice of an automated speaker welcomed him by name, startling him. He stepped into the foyer. The ceiling rose 3 stories high, with a chandelier shaped like a falling waterfall of crystals. Breathless for a moment, he waited near the doorway, but the house stayed silent except for the faint sound of crackling fire deeper inside. A small card with his name written on it lay on a table. Confused, he followed the direction indicated by an arrow on the card. He wondered if this was some eccentric rich person's idea of fun, or if he was about to be accused of trespassing. His heart thudded nervously as he walked toward a large room with soft music playing. When he stepped inside, he froze. At the center of the grand living room, sitting on a velvet armchair near the fire, was a woman dressed in a deep blue gown. Her blonde hair fell in soft waves, her hands folded on her lap as if she were waiting, not just sitting, but waiting for someone specific. Her gentle smile flickered as she turned her head toward him, and that was when the realization hit him. This was the exact woman from the profile picture of his blind date match from earlier that day. The beautiful stranger he assumed he would never meet because he canceled at the last moment, too ashamed of his shabby clothes and exhausted face. He remembered the sinking feeling in his chest when the app reminded him of the date he knew he couldn't keep. He had apologized through a message, blaming work, but deep down, he saw it as fate reminding him he didn't belong in anyone's romantic world. Not anymore. Not like this. But fate had brought him here anyway. The woman's eyes softened, almost sparkling, even though they didn't seem to focus directly on him. And suddenly he understood another truth. The app had mentioned she was visually impaired. Not fully blind, but close. Her gaze was warm, but searching. With a trembling breath, Daniel stepped farther inside, unsure of what to say or do. He set the food bag on a table, as if that could distract both of them from the impossibility of the moment. The firelight danced across the room, and he felt the tension in his chest twist into something painfully emotional. How could the universe play a trick like this? He wasn't supposed to meet her, not while delivering food, not dripping wet, not looking like life had chewed him up and spit him back out. He wanted to leave before she realized who he was, before she discovered he wasn't the kind of man this mansion suggested he should be. But she spoke softly, his name, and it stopped him in his tracks. She told him she had been waiting, wondering if he would come despite canceling, trusting her heart instead of the app notification. She said something in her intuition had told her that tonight would change something in her life. even if she didn't know how. Daniel stood frozen, feeling heat rush to his face. He wished he could disappear. She was elegance and grace, a woman wrapped in soft luxury. He was a man wearing soaked discount shoes and a jacket that smelled faintly of engine oil. He couldn't even afford proper groceries after his rent increase last week. He wanted to keep his distance, but her voice was so gentle that it pulled him closer without force. The crackling fireplace filled the silence as he gathered the courage to explain why he was here. He confessed he was only there because of a food delivery, that he hadn't come expecting anything, and that he wasn't dressed or prepared for a date. But as he spoke, she smiled with a sincerity that pierced right through his defenses. She told him she didn't care what he looked like. She cared about the kindness in his messages, the honesty he showed even when canceling, the sincerity that made her feel safe. She told him that people didn't need perfect conditions to form real connections. And in that moment, Daniel felt something inside him crack open, the part of him that had been carrying grief, shame, and exhaustion for years. The room felt warmer, softer. She asked about his son, and he told her about Ethan, the boy who still believed his dad was a hero, even though Daniel felt far from it. He shared how hard it was to raise him alone after losing his wife in a car accident 3 years earlier, and how every day was a battle between survival and hope. As he spoke, she listened, truly listened, with a compassion he didn't expect from someone of her world. He learned her name was Claire Harrington, daughter of a renowned philanthropist who often let the mansion feel more like a gallery than a home. Her visual impairment had developed gradually, and while she remained independent, she often felt isolated, surrounded by wealth, yet starved for genuine human connection. People treated her with pity, fear, or admiration for her family name, but rarely with simple sincerity. Until tonight. The more they talked, the more the mansion seemed to fade around them, leaving only the soft glow of the fire and two people quietly discovering each other. But beneath the warmth, Daniel couldn't shake the fear that reality would soon snap this moment in half. He wasn't meant to be here. He didn't belong in this world. And when this night ended, she would surely realize the gulf between their lives. But Claire didn't let him fade into insecurity. She reminded him that connection wasn't built on money or status. It was built on soul. And his soul, she said, felt honest, kind, strong in a way that no polished man in tailored suits could ever imitate. The rain slowed outside, tapping gently on the windows, and Daniel found himself sitting across from her, closer now, warmed by the fire rather than trembling from the storm. For the first time in years, he felt seen, not as a struggling delivery driver, but as a man with depth, heart, loyalty, and pain that shaped him into someone remarkable. Hours passed without either of them noticing. The automated lights dimmed to evening mode. The fire lowered to embers. And Daniel felt something he hadn't felt in years. Hope that maybe, just maybe, life wasn't always going to be this hard. But eventually he stood to leave, not wanting to impose. She reached out slightly instinctively, and he understood the silent request. He took her hand gently. Her touch was warm, delicate, grounding. She thanked him not for the food, but for the conversation that made her night feel human again. And he thanked her for giving him a moment of peace in a life filled with storms. As he walked back toward the door, he felt torn, between the world he lived in and the world he had just stepped into. But just before he left, Claire called out softly, asking if she could see him again. Not as a blind date or a wealthy heiress, but simply as two people finding comfort in each other's presence. Daniel's breath caught. He wanted to say yes, but fear and humility tangled inside him. He told her he would think about it, not because he didn't want to return, but because he felt she deserved better than someone barely surviving. Yet her expression told him she already knew his doubt and didn't share it. He walked out into the night feeling something heavy lift from his chest. For the first time in months, he felt the possibility of happiness brushing against him. If this story has touched your heart in any way, please take a moment to like, share, or subscribe. It helps more than you know and allows us to keep bringing powerful stories like this.